Hello, my clay students. When we last met, I gave you a little demonstration about putting together your slab pottery. And hopefully you've done that by this point if you're watching this video. And your slab pottery might be like mine. Mine has gotten to the part, the dryness level that I would call leather hard. It's still flexible, but it's hard like a thick piece of leather. And at this point, I can do a lot of things to it to start cleaning it up. Before, it was a little bit delicate, and so I didn't want to touch it too much, lest I mush it. But now it's feeling pretty firm and pretty good, and the first thing I would like to do is clean up my surfaces. So you can see along this edge, I have like some parts that are not smooth, so I can use my homemade plastic rib to smooth those parts out. I think actually my clay is so smooth or so firm, I'm going to use my clay wooden tool. So you can see that when I start to smooth it out, I can get those little burrs off, and I can also start to almost burnish the surface and carve away some little shapes that I don't want. And I can see I've got the texture of the cloth that I rolled out on, and I might not want that there, so I'm going to burnish that out. So I'm going to spend a lot of time cleaning up this surface and making it as perfect as I can. I want to have really nice craftsmanship. So I'm going to carve away some parts I don't like. And then what I can do is I can use a soft wet sponge to really smooth and blend and make the surface perfect. So this is a great way for you, I've got a lot of fuzzies there, to use something to help you smooth it. Now down here, you can see on the underside, I still have a lot of seams that are showing right there. And I would definitely want to take my tools and smooth and blend. I really want to make the whole surface of this pottery piece look as perfect as I can make it look. Now here, with this curve, that's a good place for me to use my rib because I can flex it and curve it to get it to the angle I want it. And you can see I've got like a little divot there. I just want to smooth that out. And if you wanted to, this would be a great time to add texture to your surface. Some glazes look especially good on a textured surface, and I like to sometimes play with that idea. Let me actually just grab something super quick. This is my mug example that just came out of the kiln. Make sure you can see it. And I used a lot of stamps on it. And the glaze I used settles deeper and darker within the nooks and crannies. And it gets a little bit lighter on the edges. And it really highlights the stamp design or the rough texture. So maybe I would want to use a stamp and press in. I actually had a little leaf one here that I was gonna see what if it would look like if I can get it in there or not. My clay might be too hard. Oh, not bad. I'm kind of pressing. I pressed from the inside and I kind of imprinted that stamp. So maybe I want to do stamps all over the surface, but I might clean up my surface first. I'm going to continue cleaning and scraping. I can even use my hands. Just so you'll use whatever tool that you think works best for you. I would spend a lot of time, my rim, I wanted it to look especially pretty. And so it's time now that I can take a tool and almost like carve away some of the pieces so I get it maybe a little thinner on parts where it's thick, maybe just getting the shape really perfect the way I want it. And that is what you will do to your piece too. So it's best to wait until it gets nice and firm like this, like not dry, but leather hard, so you can still scrape pieces away. You can smooth out your surface. So I would probably spend almost an hour cleaning the surface of this pottery piece, making sure it's as perfect as I can get it. And so that's what I would like you to do too. But you need it to get to the part where it's pretty dry, where you can really carve things away without making more marks in the surface. So I just wanted to show you what mine looks like because you saw it all when it was like really soft and I had just put it together. Like maybe I'm gonna play around and add some texture in here with a tool. That could look really nice. Mrs. Stuckey just popped into my class. She likes to play little games. So sometimes I like to add a lot of texture. Maybe I'd want it to be textured on the inside, smooth on the outside. But I really like the way the glaze looks when there's a lot of texture. And maybe I'll do some more stamps. So this is your time to make it really come together and look perfect. So you can see I still have like a lot of divots on my outside just from like moving it, wrapping it up. And so once you get it really as perfect as you can, oh, I'm not crazy about that sponge, not one bit. That's when I use a sponge and really get it perfect. So get your basic shapes that you want off first, and then use your sponge, but just be aware that that's going to add some moisture to your clay, and if you add too much, it'll turn it mushy again. But sometimes it's only mushy on the outside, so you just want to be careful with it. But you can see that could really smooth things up really nicely. And so of course you can end up painting this when you're done. You could engrave things, whatever way you want to do to your surface. And then we will let it dry. So I'm going to work on mine a lot more. And you can see this is that little four-sided one I did before. I kind of made them matching up on their rims. So maybe I'm going to play around and add more texture there. So I just wanted to show you that, kids, so you can really see how the clay changes. Now my inside is a mess, so I've got a lot of cleaning up to do in there. Sometimes what you can do is actually rubber band a little piece of sponge to a stick and get down in there. Or sometimes I would use like a big paintbrush with some water on it and get down and smooth out any parts that are down in there. So whatever tools work for you. Thanks, kids.